Well, shoot. What's up, guys? Sorry for the rapid fire videos. I usually don't like posting multiple videos close together. I like to space them out by at least a couple of hours. But yeah, I think I got to talk about this one. All right, I don't think I can just let this one dangle for a couple hours because this is pretty big. This is pretty big, and we got to at least acknowledge it. We got to take a minute to talk about this one. This video is powered by BetUS. Guys, it's things are accelerating. Things have not accelerated to exit velocity yet, but things are happening. According to many sources, including Ian Rappaport and Tom Pelissaro, both of whom are pretty credible in this line of work, DK Metcalf has requested a trade from Seattle, and the team has decided to at least investigate into it. And there's definitely going to be interest. We already know that because we've heard of all the teams that are potentially already going after him without us even making him available. The Bills, the Chiefs, the Packers, there may be other teams that get involved as well. So that is a wrinkle that I was not expecting. And that is a wrinkle that is going to have to force me to look at things from a slightly different angle. Just got to do it. So, obviously the fan base is going to be pretty split on this issue, I think. DK Metcalf had gotten to the point with his play and to a certain extent his personality to where I think that some people are a little fed up with him. So at the very least this isn't something that's going to make everybody revolt, but there's a few different angles to look at this from, right? There's a few different ways to look at this. And I'm personally I I'm pulled in a few different directions here, man. This one's tough for me to really figure out how I feel about it. What I can say though is that this is not great timing, right? We just released one starting wide receiver, and now if the other starting wide receiver wants out, and by the way, those two starting receivers that are now hypothetically gone are the guys who play on the boundary, and all you've got is one really good slot receiver. Good luck trying to fix that in the offseason. Good luck trying to replace that in one offseason with a draft that isn't really that great for receivers, at least outside boundary receivers, and a free agency class that is okay, I guess, but this is not what we needed to be dealing with at this moment. So the obviously the interesting thing here is that Metcalf is supposedly requesting a trade. And look, maybe he'll come out later today or tomorrow and be like, "Hey, no, this is made up. I didn't do that." And maybe the team will come out and say, "Look, there's nothing going on here," and maybe this just goes away. I'm not saying that this is a done deal, but this is now, as a fan and as somebody who follows this team, worth really getting into. I'm wondering what the reason behind this is, because I mean, you've heard the coaches this offseason, Kubiak, McDonald, they've all said, like, hey, this offense, the main question we got to figure out is how do we get the ball to 14 more? How do we get the ball to DK Metcalf more? How do we figure out how to utilize him to the best of his abilities? So, really, I got two thoughts on that front. Number one, the one that is the most likely, and I'm sorry to have to say this, DK might want to get paid like Justin Jefferson or CeeDee Lamb, and that's just not going to happen. Maybe in his mind he's as good as Justin Jefferson and he deserves the 35 million a year, but the Seahawks are not budging, and there's just no way we can. He's not as good as those guys. I'm sorry, he's just not. And if he wants to get paid like those guys, then I think the Seahawks front office is right to be resolute in their refusal to make it to meet him there, and that might have motivated this. Or I guess it could be kind of going the other way, where the Seahawks want to pay him like 25 million a year, and Metcalf is looking for more like 30 million a year, which I think would be about reasonable for where the market is right now. and maybe we're trying to undercut it and we're not budging off of that, and Metcalf is sick of it. Could be one of those things. The only other thing that I can think of is that maybe he's angry that we released Lockett. That's his boy, that's his brother, and he's like, no, I'm not cool with this. That's dirty. Get me out of here. I don't want to be here if Lockett's not going to be here. Before I go any further, I do want to talk a little bit about my friends over at BetUS. Not only are they a sports book, they are an online casino. If you like slots, if you like blackjack, if you like live casino dealers, take advantage of BetUS's online casino. You can get a 200% sign-up bonus up to $5,000 or a 250% deposit bonus for a crypto sign-up up to $2,000. So get your free money, get to BetUS, and while you're checking out the sports book, check out the casino as well. And remember, get the free money too. Right, so I don't know why he's requesting this, if he is requesting it, but that would be probably why. I can't really think of too much else there. But like I already said, man, this is not great timing. And look, I want to be very clear about something. I don't really know what to think of Metcalf at this point. I've gotten frustrated with him with the way last season ended, where after he came back from the injury, he really was kind of a non-factor in every game. Like, even games we were winning, even games where he did make the occasional nice play, he didn't take over any of those games. He didn't really do anything special in any of those games. His special stuff after the injury, after he came back from it, was like, oh, this nice play. Oh, he made a nice play. He made a nice play. It was never, oh, he had a big game, or even he had a big half. It was all just like, he didn't even get to 1,000 yards. And I know he missed 2.5 games, but at the same time, he was playing in an offense where all the team did was throw the ball. The team threw the ball at a rate that I don't know if any other team met or surpassed. I don't think any team did. And you can't even get to 1,000 yards. Like, that did frustrate me. Some of the mistakes that he made, some of the obvious mistakes, the bad routes, the incorrect routes, the refusal to use his size as an advantage. I am frustrated with Metcalf to the point where it's not like I would sit here and be like, oh, I can't believe we lost Metcalf, man. He's so good. He's so amazing. He does this. He does that. But situationally, this is just not what we need right now, because where does this leave us in 2025? Again, no Lockett, no Metcalf. You've got JSN, and then you've got nothing. You've got Jake Bobo, who, I'm sorry, he's not an NFL caliber receiver for any more than like 15 snaps a game. Cody White, who had one good game kind of last year and hasn't really showed us anything beyond that. I like him, but let's not go crazy with it. And Derek Young, who can't stay healthy. So you're looking at acquiring 2 starting caliber receivers. Now, the good news is you only really need one really great receiver, and then the other guy can just be okay, because he's not going to play that much in Kubiak's offense, because Kubiak likes to go multiple tight end and multiple back a lot. But you still need somebody. You still need somebody good. You can't just trot Derek Young or Jake Bobo out there and think they're going to be good enough. You need better than that. So now you have pressure on you to acquire a really good receiver, like a borderline star or star receiver, and you got to acquire another guy who's at least good enough to play about half the game. And that's a lot to do in one offseason when you already have to remake this offensive line. And I would also say that maybe Metcalf's trade value would be in a pretty good spot right now, because a lot of teams need a receiver, and there isn't a lot out there because T. Higgins already got franchise tagged. So I guess you could say, like, hey, you got to do business with us if you want a stud receiver, because you're not going to be able to get one anywhere else unless you have a high enough pick for McMillan, maybe. And even then, that's a rookie, right? But he's requested a trade, which is going to reduce your leverage in theory, unless he's using it for leverage to get a better contract, which, okay, I guess. And he's coming off a season where he didn't even have 1,000 yards. He's on a team that does nothing but throw the ball, and he didn't even get to 1,000 yards. So it's not a great time for this. It's just not. And this team is already kind of committed to going for it in 2025 because of the Leonard Williams restructure. So I'm not thrilled about this. In a vacuum, I can see the wisdom behind moving off of Metcalf. I really can. In a vacuum, I could see this working. But contextually, I'm not in love with this. Contextually, I just feel like it's putting a bit of a crimp in our plans for this offseason. However, nothing has happened yet as of me recording this video. I guess it's possible he doesn't get traded. The issue is he now willing to take an extension? Like, let's say he wants to get traded. Would he take an extension, or are we just going to have to let him play out the last year of his deal, which would be bad for all parties? Metcalf doesn't want to play with no long-term security, and the Seahawks don't want him to play with that massive cap hit in 2025 and then lose him for nothing probably the next offseason. So it's bad all the way around. Yeah, I don't know. I wish he had done this at a different time. I'll put it to you that way. Maybe when he was coming off a better season, maybe when he was in maybe when the Seahawks were in a better situation to not have him. I don't know. It's not great timing. Maybe if this had happened before the Leonard Williams restructure, maybe that would have been okay, because then you still had, technically you had the opportunity to maybe pivot. Now it's a little bit harder to pivot. Okay, so that's a big domino, people. And, I get a lot of comments every time I talk about Metcalf from people who don't like me talking about it. It's time to start talking about it, people. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but this is worth taking seriously now, and I hope everybody understands that this needs to be addressed. Thank you to BetUS for powering this video. See you guys later. Go Hawks.